are books and series that have entered the cultural consciousness to the point where if you haven't read the book, you've heard of it, and you've heard of the author too. What fascinates me and what I like to think about is the fact that these authors must have or had writing lives outside of their mega classics. Well, except if you're Harper Lee. But if they weren't Harper Lee, they probably wrote other books. My hobby is finding and reading those forgotten books. I like reading little-known books by famous authors because the stories of their famous works have become so familiar, they've almost been subsumed into the human mythos. And when we read books that we haven't read before by these authors, we realize how great of writers they really, really were. So I'm going to share with you a couple of my favorite forgotten books. Let's start with A.A. Milne of Winnie the Pooh fame. He also wrote a book called The Red House Mystery, which is really a very a la Agatha Christie style mystery. It's what's called a locked room mystery, where it's an impossible murder. How could the murderer have gotten in and gotten out and done the murder? This book is great just because it exhibits the same effortless, easy writing style that A.A. Milne has in Winnie the Pooh, but it's in a mystery and it actually works really, really well. Speaking of Agatha Christie, I have to mention Absent in the Spring, which she wrote under her pseudonym Mary Westmacott. I've mentioned this book before in previous videos, so I won't go into here except to say more people should read this book. Let's move on to Ellen Montgomery, who wrote the Anne of Green Gables books that we all know and love. She also wrote a book called The Blue Castle, which is one of her few books which isn't written in the Anne of Green Gables universe. Think of Anne of Green Gables meets Walden Pond, but with the most endearing love story you've ever read. Fun fact, this book was made into a madly successful Polish musical in the 80s. Our final book is also the last book completed by Charles Dickens before he died. Our mutual friend deals with a lot of the same dark themes like poverty and greed that he dealt with in previous works, but it also features two of the most uplifting love stories he ever wrote. While finishing this book, he was in a horrific train accident, and after helping rescue his fellow passengers, he went back to retrieve this manuscript. The stress of the train accident took a toll on his health that he never fully recovered from, and eventually contributed to his death. Also, check out the really awesome 90s BBC miniseries. It's great. What are some of your favorite forgotten books by famous authors? Let me know and I'll add them to my reading list.